What's up, everyone? In today's video, we have a lot to talk about as a lot of stocks did some crazy things in the market today. Nvidia is one of those crazy stocks that had a truly explosive day. This stock has earnings in a couple days from now, and you won't even believe some of the price targets this one has. So, of course, make sure to stick around for that. But we also have to talk about how interest rates are nearing 23-year highs. And on top of that, we have a lot of other stocks that are flying up under the radar. So you better stick with us today. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into today's episode.
Yeah, Mike, the market really came flying back to the upside today. It was a very nice consolidation type of pullback day, so I'm kind of liking this price action. I know last night I actually talked about this and said I kind of expect a couple days of uptrend to come in after all of that selling pressure that we've seen lately. And today we actually broke the trend line on SPY that we talked about yesterday too. So it was good to see that. We actually kind of confirmed off of it there midday and then came flying right back up. So heading into tomorrow, I'm actually looking for a little bit more uptrend to come in, kind of like this, but overall, I'm just loving the price action out of SPY, out of all these big tech stocks. But what stole the show today? It was definitely Nvidia. This baby ran all the way up to 470, and of course, some other stocks like Microsoft, Apple, and others closed up green, right? But Nvidia was up an insane percentage here, 8.47%. That is big. They also broke their trend line, and hey, they have earnings coming up this week as well.
Literally. So yeah, it was a really crazy day for that. But let's talk a little bit more about the price action that we've been seeing with this one. So Nvidia, whether you're looking at this one on an intraday chart or a daily chart, is the definition of like a rocket ship. Like this thing has went from like $100 or so back in the end of 2022 to now just under $500, and the price target that just came out today by HSBC has Nvidia going all the way up to $780 per share. This is absolutely insane, and it's part of what's fueling this insane run-up. Like even KeyBank had a pretty strong price target on them as well, all the way up to $620 a share, but Nvidia right now is rising quicker than almost any other stock in the market, as it has a mixture of just, the AI hype, but also like that breakout hype and the price target upgrade hype and the earnings hype. And it's just moving in an explosive way. And a lot of people are looking at this one and saying, what's next? And what I'm about to say, it's going to trigger a lot of people, but it just has to be said. Looking at Nvidia, the stock is at $470 a share. You could say at the end of 2022, this thing was at basically 100. And no matter which way you look at it, on a fundamental level, this thing is overvalued and it's overbought and it's not worth starting a new position right now. Now, with that being said, it is possible that it can keep going higher, but it is nothing that I would risk my money on. It's like, if you missed all of these good entries from the ride from $100 all the way up to $470, I think it's a little bit too late if you're just entering right now. And I just think if you weren't already in it a long time ago, there's no point in buying in this high now. So it's a stock that's crazy to me, Tom, and it's like, best for like short-term trading only, but it's hard to justify like starting like a new long position at this point.
Yeah, and I think a long position's perfectly fine. Like, if you guys want to go long here, that's cool, but it better be a short-term play. Like, if you're going long to hold this for the long term here, that is a little bit worrying. Now, the big reason that is, now, Nvidia is a big stock, right? They deal with AI. They're a very influential powerhouse in the tech sector. A lot of other stocks are trying to do things they do, like AMD, MRVL, Intel even. Lots of these other stocks are kind of like in that computing space. Now, Nvidia really dominates the AI sector with their GPUs. That's what makes them so significant. And what's interesting is they're starting to kind of remind me of a Tesla, whenever Tesla was kind of in that insane uptrend mode, right? It was almost like they were never slowing down until it finally did slow down. And then we saw huge pullbacks all the way back down to $100 a share from $412. I want you guys to see that, because Nvidia is getting to that type of overextended, overbought territory now. And I'm not saying it's going to fall down to 100 by any means, but I definitely agree with you, Mike. Like, getting any type of long-term positions here is wild, but in the short term, like, if these earnings go well and this thing has a lot of momentum, like, sure, some weekly momentum trades, like some quick scalps intraday will be great. Maybe even our sniper bot will call a couple out on it. But, you know, right now it's definitely a short-term only type of stock for me.
Exactly. Yeah, great. Very well said, Tom. We'll say that. Like, there's a lot of opportunity in the short term because it moves with, you know, so much momentum and power, which is awesome. But for the long term, stay away, at least for now. But either way, keep a very close eye on it. In this chart, we can see basically how NVIDIA's stock price has moved, I guess you could say, with price targets over time. So, you know, we could see the price targets and just NVIDIA's stock have just been like, you know, like 1-to-1 over the past year or so. And it looks like, you know, last time we had earnings, the price targets just soared to the upside. So we'll see what's in store for us this time. But price targets are considerably higher than NVIDIA's actual stock price right now.
Yeah, I can't believe that KeyBank did like $780 or something like that, and then the other one did like $620 on their target. And I've seen even not crazier targets, but I've seen big targets even from other big players like JP Morgan and others like that. So yeah, keep Nvidia on watch this week. It's going to be very important with those earnings. And talking about earnings, Mike, you know, there's a bunch of other earnings going on this week. We have Baidu tomorrow, Dollar Tree, Marvel, Affirm, but even Zoom tonight is looking pretty fire. I know, Mike, you've talked about this stock a lot. Now, it is starting to come down a little bit now, but hey, I'll take that great run up above 70. It's looking great so far.
There we go. Yeah, so Zoom's having a decent reaction so far in after hours from their earnings. They beat on EPS and they beat on revenue, which is great to see. What I did like specifically from their earnings report is that the number of customers they have contributing more than $100,000 in the trailing 12 months is up 17.8% year over year. So the revenue for that, it's definitely increasing by a good amount, and it's awesome to see. Zoom's one of those companies that had so much love during the pandemic, and you know, all of Zoom's lovers just magically disappeared, and now it's down in the dumps around $70 a share, where at its peak, back in the good old days, Tom, this stock was once trading for just under $600.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this one's one of the crazier ones to see with how much it was up to 600 and how low it got to where it is now. And I will say though, Mike, like if these earnings go well and if these supports keep holding up in the short term, maybe we'll actually start kind of like breaking out of this downwards trend Zoom has been in, and Zoom can kind of start to go up and maybe retest like $80 and then even $85. I think that's a pretty cool target up there. It's a big resistance coming up. I'm actually going to throw it on the chart right now, and then maybe even eventually fill that gap back to around 100. That'll be like the longer term play I look for. But in the short term, if we start to really break out, I think this could be awesome. But looking at that hourly chart, we actually kind of ran up right into that trend line here in after hours. But I think if we have a good continuation on this, it could be a pretty fun stock here over the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. So I guess we could say shifting over back to the market overall. Tom, we are in a very interesting point where, you know, today was a pretty good day. Friday was an all right day, but the past couple of weeks have been pretty red. Looking at the market right now, Tom, what are you seeing in terms of important levels, and what's your take on the situation we have at hand?
Yeah, so right now, I know a big level today that we bounced off of end of day is going to be 440, and going into tomorrow, that's going to be a big spot I'm watching. Even like 442 overhead is pretty big as well. I'm going to be watching those levels kind of for like a scalp to the upside if we keep rising. Now, I'm hoping that Zoom keeps going up in after hours and maybe, or I should say kind of turns it back around. It's starting to fall back a little bit more. Maybe that'll kind of uptick some of the investors in the morning, get them nice and woke up for us, but we really need to see a big continuation out of these big tech stocks like Nvidia and others, and if we do, I'll be watching 442 to the upside, and then the big level 444. That is going to be key here this week. I think that we could possibly get up to 444 and then start to trade lower off of that. I'm definitely watching these resistances though, Mike. Like, I don't think that this downtrend is necessarily over. I just think that we're going through a few days of uptrend here, and those big resistances come coming up, like I mentioned, 442, 444. They've been huge over the past couple months, so I would expect them to hold up as pretty big levels here. And as far as support goes, there was a pretty big level today around like 438.50. Also, way down here around 435 is pretty huge as well.
Alrighty, sounds great. On a different note, while we have some good news in the market, we also have some bad news, and that specifically has to do with interest rates. Surprise, surprise. Interest rates have been all the talk over like the past 2 years or so, and I really hope that no one watching this video, or honestly, anyone is looking to buy a house anytime soon, because mortgage rates hit their highest point since 2000. It's just like every week, Tom, it's just like these mortgage rates just keep ticking higher and higher and higher and higher, and they're not stopping. So it's just like, it's crazy, and it puts a lot of pressure onto this housing market and the real estate market overall. And, mortgage rates at one point in 2020 were like, 2.5 to 3%. And then like last year around this time, they were around like 5.5%. And now they're ranging anywhere from like 7.5% to even higher. And it's just like, you can't help but think like, what are we going to be saying next year? Are mortgage rates going to be at, 8% or 10% or more? Like, I don't know. But either way, it's not good.
Man, Mike, I'll tell you what, I've been looking at this a lot lately. I've been putting these numbers into like mortgage calculators and calculating percentages. It would be pretty smart to buy now if it keeps going up, right? Like if it goes to like 10%, 11, I mean, that would be insane if we got that high. And during like the 70s and 80s, that happened and we were under extreme inflationary pressures and stuff like that. Hopefully we don't see that type of pressure come back in, but inflation is starting to uptick a little bit more once again, Mike. So I'm a little bit curious what's going to happen here. The Feds are going to be making some big decisions, and we still have Powell speaking later this week at Jackson Hole too. Maybe he'll actually address some of the higher rates or higher yields, mortgage rates, etc. at that event.
All right, yeah, we will see, but it's now time for the fun stuff. So let's jump right into some setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is CCJ. This is a stock and company that I've been talking about a lot over the past like year and a half or even 2 years at this point. And basically they're like a uranium company, and the stock is doing very well. So it actually made a new recent high, and it's trending to the upside in a very strong way. I have very close eyes on this one for tomorrow, but I mainly hold this stock for the long term. But, a lot of times when we've seen breakouts like this, it has lasted for a couple days to a couple weeks. So either way, I'm keeping a close eye on CCJ to the upside for tomorrow.
Yeah, this is huge here, Mike, and I still have to give you kudos with that support. I'm never taking that off. We'll see how high CCJ it goes from here, but I've had this on here for months, like ever since like December or like October, sometime around then, around $21, all the way up to 36 now, breaking out like crazy. Like, it's been going up, Mike. I got to give you some credit on CCJ lately. And with my play, I'm actually going to go with Apple. So looking at Apple to the upside and the downside, actually. I've noticed that this 176 resistance was actually a big support last week, and I'm going to be watching it for a bit of resistance this week. We hit off of it end of day, and a big reason that I'm really going to be watching it is because I look at the book map, and I can see those sellers were stacked up there all day today. And even over the past couple days, there's been some numbers here. So I'll be watching 176 tomorrow. It's always good to see these sellers stacked up. And that X-ray vision, Mike, it never fails, right? You always get to see those nice supports and resistances. And there's a lot of ways to play this, guys. Check out the links down below for Bookmap. And there's a bunch of strategies. We'll talk about some, obviously, in the future. But there's a ton of videos out there as well.
Yeah, get some X-ray vision with Bookmap. The link will be in the comments and the description down below. It's pretty awesome. But jumping back to some setups, another stock I'll be watching pretty closely is Zoom. This stock obviously just reported earnings, and it's moving to the upside. What I do like about Zoom is that, unfortunately, even though it has been stuck in the mud for years at this point, when it does get some sort of catalyst or news or like newfound momentum, right? When its lovers come back to it, it normally trends to the upside for like weeks or months at a time. So maybe this could be the start of, some blessings for Zoom. So I'm going to keep a very close eye on this one for tomorrow and even the next couple weeks. This stock does trend in a pretty strong way, and I am to watch it very closely to the upside going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's had some great runs in the past, like huge multi-green days in a row. Like, look back there in May. It started really blasting up off that low, and I wouldn't be surprised right here at support. It's had another nice blast if we count this big move. So I love it, Mike. I love that trend line here, too. If we break it, I think we could really go up with Zoom in the short term. My next play is actually NIO. NIO. It's been a while since we talked about this one, Mike. They've been another stock that lately has been kind of stuck in the mud if we go out to the daily chart. They've been falling off over the past few months back to support. I'm going to be watching this for a bit of reversal back to the upside. I noticed they had a good day today. If they can break out above this resistance around $11.20, I will look at calls on this, and NIO can have some pretty good moves sometimes.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, it's now time for those momentum plays, and we have a stock that is somewhat similar to NIO, and that is Alibaba, and it is also to the upside.
Yeah, and I actually love this play, Mike. There's like a pretty good double top setting up here. If they break 88.80, watch for those calls tomorrow.
All right, with the next one, we have GLD also to the upside.
Nice. GLD, I'm glad to see him kind of popping up there end of day. If they could break out above 176 to 176.10, watch for calls tomorrow. Kind of feel out that momentum in the morning too. Like if they're following the market up, then that could be a good opportunity.
All right, and then with the last one, we have Netflix for both directions.
Yeah, NFLX here, kind of both ways. It's been a little bit choppy the past few days. If they can break out above $4.11, just above that 410 resistance, I'll go ahead and look at calls. If they end up falling back down under 406, which is right around intraday support, then I'll go ahead and look at some puts to the downside. So 406 down and 411 up.
All right, so we have the upside level for calls, the downside level for puts with Netflix, and then don't forget about GLD and BABA for those upside levels as well. But it is now time for the big money $760,000 trade of the day, and we are looking at none other than PayPal. So basically someone plowed $760,000 into the PayPal call options. This is a little bit advanced, but I'm going to break it down in a nice and easy and fun way. Basically, someone traded a call debit spread. They bought the 65 strike calls and shorted the 75 strike calls. Both of these expire on September 29th. But honestly, if you don't want to get complicated, the main thing you need to know is that someone's betting that PayPal will go up, and in a perfect world, PayPal is at $75 or higher by September 29th of 2023. If you want to make your life nice and easy, you can just buy PayPal calls or shares and call it a day. You don't have to get nice and fancy with the spread. But either way, looking at PayPal, I think it's at a pretty solid level right now. It's oversold in the short term, and it's basing off like a nice support right around 57. And I think overall, in terms of like risk-reward ratio, I think this one's pretty top tier.
Yeah, me too. I like it with that big downtrend recently. In the short term, I could see a nice uptrend coming in as well. Now, I know that they do have this out to September, so they might hold it for a little while, maybe not necessarily tomorrow, but I will be watching it tomorrow. You know, with the way these stocks were starting to pop up today, I could see PayPal continuing up in the short term, and I really like this $60 resistance too. You might be able to use that as a good breakout level tomorrow.
Perfect. So yeah, keep a close eye on this one. You know, when someone puts $760,000 into a trade like this, it is definitely worth watching closely. But overall, Tom, it's nice to see, Zoom popping up in after hours. It's nice to see CCJ popping up after we talked about that one, and it was at like an amazing support level a couple months ago, and I know some people definitely bought this one and profited in a pretty good way with us. So that was an awesome play. It took a couple months, but it worked beautifully. At the same time, we have other stocks creeping up. Of course, like NVIDIA, that one is not creeping up. It is flying up in a crazy way. But, we have a lot of action going on in the market right now. This type of price action is what presents some of the best opportunities for short-term traders. Ideally, a good short-term trader should be able to profit whether the market goes up or down. Your life just gets easier when the price action is more consistent. Kind of like what we saw with NVIDIA today, right? So I do like this volatility, this type of price action. It's really great. And, Tom, we're just a couple more days away from NVIDIA earnings and that Jackson Hole event. And that's when the real fun starts.
I know, and I'm getting a little bit scared, Mike. Like, a lot of people, you know how there's always traders out there that they have their, I don't know what you'd call it, I guess, but they always have their thinking, and they're always like, well, hey, if the stock runs up into earnings, that means it's going to drop, right? If it goes down into earnings, maybe they're faking us out and it's going to pop up. That's a little bit scary to see NVIDIA running up this much. It sounds like some people are definitely expecting some good earnings, so imagine if they get surprised and the earnings aren't good. That would be a disaster there. But I'm glad also it's good price action in the short term. We're starting to see a lot of these trends break and move back up a little bit, so that's good. Even SPY, they broke out above their trend line today, started to run up. Keep an eye on 440, 442, and 444. I think 444 will be pretty major up there.
There we go. And even if today wasn't your day in the market, that's all right. We have 4 more days left. We have some big events this week. So, keep your head up high. There should be a lot of awesome opportunities in multiple different ways. So keep that head up high. And if you guys want to join the Stocked Up crew, definitely check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Our bot absolutely crushed it today. SniperBot called out some Tesla call options right around market open. At the time, these call options were worth around $475 each. By the end of the day, they were trading for $958 each. So if you want in on the action, check out that first link down below. Not only do you get access to SniperBot, but also Hybrid Bot, multiple premium bots, whether it be SM bot or unusual options activity channels or a bunch of the other things we have, whether it be premium selling bots, swing plays, educational channels. You can talk with Tom and myself all day long, and it's a great community for short-term traders. So definitely check it out. It's going to be that first link in the description and the comments down below. You can cancel it anytime. But besides that, guys, let's have an amazing rest of the week.